here. So we've got a document. One other trick to this is if I know you get documents through your email. Unfortunately, you can't drag documents directly from your email to ACS. You have to put it on a desktop or on a C drive, some kind of local file, and then from your desktop you can drag it to ACS. So if I had a new document for Hogan Creek, I'm going to take my document that I've temporarily placed on the desktop, add it to my place here, and I'm hit submit. And what it's going to do, it's going to go through, it's going to find which folder, which property, it's going to go to iManage to save it for me. It's going to do all the metadata that it needs. And it's also going to log it in ACS as a new document that's there to review. It takes a little bit for the first one, and it gets a little faster as it goes on. So once this one gets done saving, it's going to say this has been saved. You'll see I have my new document number, my document. And if I go to ACS, or if I go to iManage and I refresh this folder, here's my new document.
Oh, that's cool.
Good. I'm on a conference
can you go back
call,
to the dashboard thing? Okay, can you X out of that?
Yeah, I will call you after this over.
Mark?
All right.
Mute your phone.
Bye.
Okay, can you just go to like Brownsville housing? So do you just click on the box to get that? Okay, yeah, click there on the Alta box.
For Brownsville?
Yeah. Oh, okay, and then it brings up the blank box. Okay.
You drag that in from iManage.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Okay.
So once you start I know you guys have already populated your folders, and unfortunately there's going to be some backfill for this. Hopefully as new deals come up, you can just do it directly through ACS. And for my intent is I would hope you guys are in here more than in iManage just looking for stuff. This should have all the, it should have links to all the documents. It helps you get the documents in iManage, and it helps you review it so everybody else knows, as opposed to just kind of working in a iManage folder library, which is, it's good for what it does, but it also is lacking in, who's reviewed this and where are we on this and different comments. So hopefully you'll be in here more than in iManage, or not in iManage much at all.
So for example, if we get emailed,
back to Hogan.
If we get emailed like a new Alta, and it's not a link, it's not an iManage link, it's actually a file. So we would need to first drag it into iManage and then drag it from iManage into here. Is that correct?
No, so if you get it in an email, what you'll do is you'll drag it to your desktop. And then from your desktop, you're going to drag it directly to here. Just like I did this Sean test. And it's going to save it to iManage for you. And it's going to log it here. The only time you're dragging an URL link to here is it's almost kind of like this initial step where you already have all these documents in there. You don't need to get it out of iManage to your desktop, save it here, and then have it save it back another copy to iManage. You just want to link to it because it's already there.
Okay.
Going forward, I would hope that you would add just do all the new documents directly from here. Again to your desktop and then here.
So it will not go into the Alta folder and pull everything in there and represent that here.
Correct. They're kind of separate, and there's a speed issue with that. If I had links to look at every folder and see what's in there, it gets a little messy and it gets really slow. I'd like to see, we can always make changes.
Okay.
So I'd like to see you guys use this for a little bit, and then we can see what works, what doesn't, what's slow, what's not. And we can always talk about it and make changes down the road.
I'd imagine that makes sense too, because I might have past editions of Altas or scratch pad kind of stuff that nobody cares about. If somebody pops into here, they want to see, oh, there's the Alta right there.
Right. That's what I'm hoping is we're going to do is ultimately.
I got it.
Yeah, we basically only keep the the links on this to the relevant most recent plans and what have you, so that we don't spend time trying to look through iManage to look at the 7 different versions of the architectural plans we got, right?
Gotcha. Okay, so if we get a new version, we'll need to replace whatever's in this folder with the new version of.
Right. Well, I think Sean can show us how you would approve a plan, as being final, and also how you would remove a plan here from this document.
Yeah, if you have versions, sometimes I would save that as a new copy. So if it's the Hogan Creek title version 1 and you get a new one, I would name that version 2 and save it in here. That way you
okay.
have your multiple different versions instead of trying to replace the original one. It doesn't hurt it being in there. And then you're going to go through and kind of improve these. So you have your version 1 and your version 2. I'd go in and improve. If version 1's done, just approve that, and then they can see there's a version 2 that's not approved. And to approve one, to the right of this document or this button to open it is a little check mark. So if this one's been approved, I'm just going to click the check mark, and now it's approved. And you can go through and approve these. And so I'm going to leave 2 that have not been approved. So if I close out of this square turns from red to yellow, meaning I've approved some things in here, but not everything's approved. Red means I have things in there, nothing's approved. And if I go through and I approve everything, and it's going to turn to green, meaning everything that I've got logged in here has been approved. So as I know you guys can see, with all these squares, they're going to turn different colors. You're going to be able to quickly find what needs to be worked on and what's still outstanding.
But
if you save something
like
accidentally, like this Sean test 0024 is like, oh, I don't want that document in here. You're going to click the little red X. It's going to ask, are you sure you want to delete this? It's going to delete it. What it won't do, though, is it's not going to delete the document from iManage. It's just going to delete it from here.
Okay.
ACS won't, just like with Jerome and iManage, we're not going to have rights to just be able to delete stuff, unfortunately.
Okay, so
but with having various versions in there, let's say you've got a couple of versions that are not approved, but you still want the version.
Well, that's why what I'm thinking, guys, is that what we do again is that as you go through, let's say you get for an ALTA survey, you get initial ALTA survey, and you look at it and you have comments and you send it out, right? You're not going to mark it as approved. Then you get the next version in with the corrections, right? And so then you drag that in there. You do when you review it and it turns out it's good, you mark it as approved, and then you can delete the other one, right? So that all that's left in there is the approved one. It will show as green, being that you have now approved the final version.
Yeah, because otherwise
you have the final version approved. You're going to leave the unapproved one in there to say that yes, you've received the first draft, but it's still being worked on. It's not done. So we can
otherwise everything's going to be yellow.
Right. So that's the point of basically being able to say, well, this will allow us, like Sean's saying, when we look at it, you're going to be able to look and say, oh, I don't have ALTA for Hogan Creek yet. I'm not through with my ALTA for Hogan Creek. Conversely, if it's green, you're like, okay, I'm done with it. I'm not even thinking about working on it because I've already resolved that document, right? So it just will give us a quick dashboard look of like what's hot, what needs to be worked on, and what's what is still outstanding.
That might get to be a little tricky with the environmental because you have a phase 1 and a phase 2 and.
Right. Well, you're going to have multiple documents, but again, if you're going through the environmental and you've approved the phase 2 and but there's still an update needed on a phase 1 or whatever, you're going to leave that as unapproved, and then once you get the update that you're good with, you're going to mark it as approved. You mark it approved, and it'll be green. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And again, as you guys get to work with it, we can talk about making changes. But from my experience, I think it's always good to work with it for a month or two to really get to the point where you're so frustrated, then we have to work on it, I guess. But hopefully this works for you guys. And so if ALTA, environmental, all the way through the critical issues, this is the last one that's a little different than the other 4. For a critical issue, it's just going to be where you can pull up and you can type any kind of comments you want. And this is going to follow the life of the deal. So obviously, as we're in pipeline, let's say it closes to construction deal. Those critical issues are going to follow it once we check out the construction side. So you're just writing your issues in there. And then once those things have been resolved, again, you can click the check mark to show that issue has been resolved. Square turns green. If this is an issue that is no longer, you typed in an error, you can always click the X to delete this issue.
cool.
So what we'd like to do with this, this is the main meat, I think, for everybody, because it's just going to be like a running tab of what's coming up. Hey, I don't have, there's an easement that needs to be corrected, whatever. There's the civil plans are not shown, don't have landscape plans, whatever the issues might be. We're going to keep it in there. And then as you come up with you can type in there additional things like, okay, like, today I didn't get the plan, or I got a second draft, but it's still wrong, or whatever it is. And it's going to keep track of all the issues that are going on. If there's something that we want to make sure that, again, as Sean's saying, as it goes into construction, we're still going to have that whole history. So you're going to know, oh, that was, we wanted to look really hard at the mold, and there's mold on this property. We need to have a mold, evaluation, or whatever it might be. We're going to be able to look on that list and see what all the issues that came up in due diligence, and what issues are coming up in construction, and what, and if there are outstanding issues that need to be worked on in whatever phase of the project we're in until we're finally done. You're muted, Mark.
Okay, thanks for noticing. Let's say I'm changing something. Can someone else, like Seth, he can be on the same dashboard and make a change concurrently, or do we have to be out of it?
Everyone can be in here making changes at the same time. The only time I've ever seen issues if two people are working in the same comment box, like for example, the PAR, they have these long comment boxes that they want multiple people working at the same time. That's when it could be an issue. But you guys are working on different deals, different boxes. Typically, let's say if someone had just added a new document and you don't see it here, but when you click on it, it's going to refresh and it's going to show there's a new document there. So I don't anticipate you guys running into people working on the same thing and not be able to edit. If that happens, we can revisit it, but everyone can be in here making changes at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys would be typically filtering, so you're looking at your deals. You have your deals on your screen, so you're not going to be bothering with anybody else's stuff. So the only person that would be looking at the whole thing generally would be me, or if you're curious and seeing what everyone else is doing, you can go see what everyone else is doing. But there's basically going to be, you'll be working on your screen with your deals, so it's only you that's going to be in there making changes.
Makes sense.
And if you're in here and you want to refresh the screen, there's always the refresh button here at the top left. It's on every layout. So no matter where in ACS you are, if you want to refresh it, make sure you got the most current data. You can always click this button to refresh your screen. Yeah, and just to be sure everyone knows, so we have the boxes we have are the ALTA for ALTA plans, the environmental, so all the environmental work. CP is civil plans, AP is architectural plans, and then CI is that critical issues box that's the new thing that we're creating as we're going forward. So, and then the model. Also,
yeah. So good.
Yeah. So I was going to say back to the critical issues as a note too. You'll find as time goes on and you put these notes in here, you'll have all this power of all this data for all these deals. So if you're saying I want to look at a deal that was this 4% or something like this, you can run all these notes of all the issues you might have had in the past and what you can anticipate, or you just have this wealth of knowledge you can query that I know that asset management has found helpful with their own watch list and notes kind of thing. Yeah. So let's say radon's an issue, right? And we have a radon, we have a high radon reading. What do we do? If you're keeping a note in here about what what the issue was and what we're doing, what the resolution is, next time we have a radon issue, we can go and say, what do we do for radon last time? And we have them all. We'll be able to pull it up and see. So
that's great.
And then to this last part here is the model. So if you want to look at and you want to pull, obviously it's a pipeline deal. It doesn't have a closed or an active model. But if you want to pull up the most current model, you can click on this button here. And what it's going to do is it's going to go to, let me explain this. Our models have a setting so that every time a model, the analyst makes a change, it makes a copy of that model and it puts it on a side hard drive so that we can retrieve and have a copy of all those times. And what this is doing is it's going through and it's looking at the most current version that we have. It's making a copy of the model, a copy of the copy, and letting you work with that copy. So, I mean, I know you may or may not have rights to the modeling drive anyways, but the version of the model you're going to open is just a copy of the most current version. And you're always going to get this thing about the file format. They mess with XLS and XLSB. It's fine. You just have to hit yes. You just want to open it anyways. So this is going to pull up a copy of the most recent version of the model.
That is such a boon. There's so many times where you get the wrong model, the outdated model. You can't find the model. I mean, oh my God, this is so great.
And it's even hard for them because I still work with them a lot. Where why is this model showing as the current one? And just to to give you guys an outlook or a bigger picture of what they're doing with the models, they have two fields here. They have a version and they have a number version. And what they're supposed to do is when they have a RAM or a DAM or an active or a closing, they're supposed to change this type here so that as it progresses, when they have the next version of the model, they'll select pre-LOI and they'll save it, meaning that they're kind of letting the database know this is the most recent version. They can have 10 copies of the model if they want, or even 10 sensitivity models. But if they save one version that says this is the pre-LOI or this is the LPA, it's going to, the database knows to use that one versus the 10 sensitivity models that they did. So we only get into trouble when someone saves a sensitivity as a, I don't know, closing model, and it's not really the closing model, but that doesn't happen very often. So hopefully this is going to make it easier for you guys to open up what's currently the active model. And this is the same thing that is being used on, if I go to the pipeline page, the originators and investor relations, they use this section called this pricing submit tab. For the originators, they fill out some certain things to make sure they submit it to investor relations to get pricing approved. And this open current model, that's the same model that you guys are going to open. So just know if you guys have the wrong model, originators, they're using the wrong model too. So you should feel confident knowing that it's the right model being used. So any questions on the pipeline section, and then we can move to construction.
No questions.
No?
I think we're good.
All right, so if we look at the construction tab, this has some different data points other than just saving documents or where the status is on those. It's going to look at anything that's a closed deal, an active deal, where the construction percentage is not 100%. So we've got some new deals in here that just need some backfill for the percentage complete and the start dates. But as you scroll through, I know that I removed the scroll bars on the right. They only show if you kind of hover or if you just scroll in the section, just to kind of make it look a little nicer and not take as much room. But you can scroll through this section. And all these fields are editable, so we can also change that if we need to. But Mary, all the fields that asset management uses and all the reports, these are all the same fields that you can change in here.
Okay. And this percentage complete as of, where is that pulling from? Is that pulling from the pay apps section, or is that pulling from, can you go to the active page?
Yep. So if we go to Summit House, it's going to pull from this section, the very bottom left right here.
Okay.
And that's the same one that you would update in your Access query.
In Access, yeah. And I just recently found out that I can just directly alter it here from this page. I don't have to go to the construction page to alter it.
Yep.
That was something that I was talking to Matt about, possibly even getting rid of, because what that percentage complete is in the lower left is if, for example, Matt has a conversation with the developer about Summit House, and it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, now at October 8th, we're at 77% complete. Then I would change it to 77% complete here. However, on the Pay Apps tab, it would still show the 75% because that's the last actual pay app that we've gotten. But it hasn't happened very often, particularly lately, where I have updated information beyond what is in the, showing on pay apps.
And actually, the good news with what we can do, again, I think with the critical issues tab, so that if let's say that happened, that we called and we said, oh, this is now 80% complete, but we haven't got a new pay app. They're behind on their pay apps, but we want to show it as being 80% complete. We could put that into the critical issues as a note, and that'll just so we can if that became an issue, we could just if we had to report out to
Well, although that means that we would have to check.
The critical issues is in the pipeline though, isn't it?
it follows the project from the pipeline all the way through construction.
Okay.
Yeah, although then you'd have to go into various critical issues,
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it's fine to leave it, the two. The only thing is, there have been, occasions where it's like, okay, I'm plugging along and here I've got the pay app information in, and whoops, I forget to change that percentage complete down in the lower left corner there, just because it's like I'm putting the same information in two different places.
I have a
I think
suggestion.
it's worth another discussion with us and even asset management, because I think asset management relies on this percentage complete
reporting.
as opposed to the pay app. But at the same
Yeah.
time, when this first got built, that was the only percentage they had. Pay apps didn't even exist. So I think it's worth looking through the process. And I think it's on Matt and I's calendar to work with you on the pay apps to make this as easy as possible for you.
Is there a way to alert if there's a disparity between the percentage complete in the lower left corner and the pay apps? So that way,
That's what I was going to say.
We can make that alert.
Make it a color.
Here on we can even put the pay app percentage on here if you want, so you can see.
Okay, so I can see it side by side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a lot of more data that we don't need, though. That's all that. It should only be there if there's a difference, or there should be a color or something on the lower left.
So we can do that.
On
So
before.
what we can do is on the percent complete, we can highlight it red. So let's say it's less than the payout percentage, it'll highlight it red. And if you just hover over it, it's called a tooltip. It'll show you what the payout percentage is. So we don't have to show another column of data.
Yeah, that's much better. That's a much better idea.
I guess it could be either, do we care if it's more than, I guess we don't care if it's more than the what's showing on the pay app tab, because that would be the logical thing, is that if there's a disparity, it would be more than.
So you only want it. Yeah, is there a range, or is it only when the construction percent is less than the pay app?
I guess if it's less than the pay app, would like it to be an alert.
Okay.
How would it ever be? Yeah, how would it ever be less than the pay app unless they're overbilling?
No, because the new pay app has come in and it hasn't been recorded in on the other database on the other.
Or I've recorded the pay app and have not gone over to the lower left hand corner and put the same information in there.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that.
Okay.
Sean, can I ask another request? Can we make it so that we can sort by property name alphabetically as well? Can we have that as a toggle or whatever?
So the sorting on these get a little tricky. Do you want to just automatically sort it, or you want to toggle between property name and the the contract completion?
Well, I don't know which one's going to be more useful. I mean, for just looking at trying to find a project quickly, if you want to find a project, it's going to be easier to find it by property name. But
absolutely,
but I think that for the purposes of being able to sort, by the percentage completion, we're obviously looking at sometimes we're looking at the end of the year right now, we're looking at projects that are supposed to be nearly complete and so it makes it easy to look and see which ones are,
okay.
Needing our attention.
So we're gonna, we can do that. Do you want to do the same thing in the pipeline?
No, pipeline is good because it's by when it's closing, and that's what everyone's focused on. What's the next, what's the most important ones to be completed? So, typically we should see all green on top and more reds on the bottom on that screen, right?
And did you say on the construction side, you can sort alphabetically by name if you click on the top?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking if we can do that.
It does it now, but I'll add that.
Okay.
Yeah, we need that. That's a definite.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you should be able to do it either by property name or by completion, contract completion, depending on what you click on to sort it. Like it
Right.
does for
So
ACTRAC.
we'll only make it those two, and you can toggle between the two, and you can do descending, ascending, and between those two fields, we'll give you sortabilities.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you want to be able to sort for projected completion also?
I don't think that matters as much.
No. Okay. Projected or
Let's do the two, and we'll see if we need more. But that's you know, yeah.
Okay. All right. So back to this, you can change all the fields except for the construction manager, which are just, it's a related field based on the main property page. The days ahead and behind is a calculated field, so you don't change this, you just change the dates that make it up. Same for remaining contingency. You can't change that. It's just a calc on hard cost and change orders.
We can't change construction manager field. You know, what if you know, we need to switch off or something, and you know, that's
you
approved.
go into a different screen. You go into the contacts.
Yeah, I could build it here. It gets really tricky. So to make my life easier and yours too, I would just click on the property tab, and then from here you can go to the construction manager and change it here.
Oh, okay, great.
And while I'm here, if you're on this layout, if you're on any layout within the database, and if you see this dashboard button, when you click that, it'll take you to your home page. So I know some of you don't want the dashboard as your home page. This will still take you back to your opening page. So if eventually you want the dashboard to be your landing page, when you see this button, clicking on it will take you to this layout.
Can you go back to the construction tab? I'm sorry, there, and go to Reedley Village Phase 2. Stop there.
Okay.
Change orders. Oh, sorry, I know why that's showing. Okay, never mind. I need to populate, I need to backfill.
So that's great.
So
Look at this
for the
where you need to backfill already in one page.
Yeah.
And Sean, this is for those deals that are in multiple funds. You know, I was having that issue on my draw report needed items where it was showing the contingent, the hard cost contingency and the change orders, and it was duplicating the change order amounts. So that doesn't happen here, right?
Yeah, your dashboard is property specific. So if it's split twice or 5 times, you'll only see it once here.
Yeah.
And all your data points are, because it's by the deal, you don't have anything investment related. So that report that we fixed, just, I guess they wanted to see funds, and that's why it got multiple times. But this is, you won't see anything about split deals here.
Okay. What we were talking about, Matt, is on my draw report. If a deal is split amongst, let's say, 5 different funds, and if, let's just say there's a $100 change order, it will list the deal 5 different times in my report, for each of the funds, and then it'll say the cumulative change orders are $100, and then for the next fund, now it's $200, and it's $300, and it's $400, and it was adding it. It was so it was, not reporting the change orders correctly. And I don't use that report for change orders at all. I never even look at it. Except about a month ago, I looked at it, and it's like, even though I've been using this report for God only knows how long, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not right.
Well, the more data you look at, sometimes you'll find
the less that you pay attention to.
But Sean, we can backfill, for example, the first building complete, last building complete. We can backfill all these numbers directly into here, right?
Correct. So these are fields that are from the model, but unfortunately, we didn't set the current version of the model to export those fields to where they're available in ACS. So they'll just be able to backfill here. Eventually, I'm going to have a new version of the model, and I'll make sure to add these fields so that you won't have to backfill them. You'll just come directly from the model.
Okay, great.
So for these last few document sections for like the current schedule, this works just the same as all the other drag and drops. The ACR Alta, this is going to carry over from the pipeline. So anything that you had saved on the pipeline, you're going to show here. Same for the critical issues, and same thing for opening the model.
So are we going to backfill those documents manually, or are they just going to start and we just evolve into it?
I would say as you're working on projects, let's use it. Let's fill them up now. So as you know, and then you can backfill on your projects as you have time. But I think
in our spare time.
but yeah. But I think, the point is, if you put it in there, it's going to make it easier for you to work on those projects as you go through. So when you start working on a project, if there's an issue or you're looking at a draw or whatever, pull the documents over, so that you have just, it's there for you to look at, and, you don't have to, it just, it's a future time saver is basically, so spend a few minutes to do that. And then, just open up your iManage and drag them in, and then you're done. You don't have to, you don't have to do it again. So
Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at these various links, really, I think the only thing that I might be saving into here is when we get the final as-built Alta survey, linking the Alta, because otherwise, the guys are going to be working with environmentals and the ACRs and IERs and stuff, correct?
Right, but we haven't. Don't despair, because we haven't started on the pay app
part
yet. So that's all going to be you,
right?
Along with everyone else too. But yeah, you're going to be the main protagonist in the pay app world.
Yeah, no, it's just that I see how this is great to work with, but I personally do a lot with iManage, because finding G704s and Exhibit C and the building permits and stuff like that I work directly with our folders on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, we're not going to eliminate working in iManage in the folders at this point, but. I think hopefully we got enough in here, and Sean, I'm going to ask you one more thing. We have the civil plans. We should add on as another button up here the architectural plans. So pull over if you could from the pipeline those architectural plan the AP tab and AP button, and put that in there as well, please.
Will do.
Okay. So, but as we work on this, hopefully, it'll become more and more useful. And then, like I said, eventually, the next, so pay apps are next, and the other thing that we're going to do is try to start creating almost like the critical issues, writing up a we'll be eliminating in effect our ACRs and our IERs and our and all that. And make that into cost analysis and everything, make that into, a document in ACS that we can not have to be separately, working on and bringing in. It'll be inherent in the system. So that's a future plan for a short term. Yeah.
And it'll be a short document, right? It won't be
Yeah, right. No, it's going to be big, but but the good news is it's like this is, I think we'll have tabs, and you'll be able to do, so you'll look up, you want to look up geology, there'll be a tab for geotechnical, there'll be a tab for, different, so it'll be like a spreadsheet tab, and you'll fill it in, and it'll create the actual written document, automatically, kind of thing, when we're done with it.
Maybe we'll have some check boxes too.
No, yeah, we'll have a few check boxes for sure. But that's kind of the point is that hopefully we'll just be able to go and say, go down the list and say, okay, what kind of windows do I have? They're vinyl. Okay, thank you. You know, you know, it's, I have aluminum, I have storefront. Okay, whatever. You know, you'll be able to click it off and say what's there, and maybe a little note with, you know, for an explanation if there's something you feel it needs to be that needs to be pointed out. You know, but
Matt, did I send you that inspection sheet that Jim Barnes and I made in like
Yes.
2004?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because that has so much information on it. It's like 3 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, what do you guys think? Useful?
Great.
Seth, you're muted, Seth.
Yeah, no, it looks promising.
Yeah, hopefully this will be helpful for us to start, you know, and to everyone be looking at it and kind of be able to focus on where you're seeing, you know, issues come up, and then also for just keeping track of where things stand. It'll be real easy to, you know, to use, and I really hope we start using the critical issues just as, I mean, you know, again, just for keeping a permanent record rather than trying to have to hunt through all the emails that everyone ever sent on a project, you know, knowing what the, you know, being able to pull up what the issues were and how we resolved them. And, you know, it'll be right there for you without having to go look through, you know, 150 emails to figure out when did I talk to these guys about that, you know. And the other thing also, Sean, I think if you, on the critical issues, when you put something in, it automatically timestamps it. So it'll tell you, it'll say you put this item in the critical issues on October 8th at 10:58 a.m. You know, that was so it actually tells you, you know, it automatically timestamps it, right, Sean?
Yep, it'll timestamp when you added it and when you approved it or resolved it.
Yeah. So we'll be able to know, you know, when it all, you know, when everything happened, if we need to. So.
And I found as other departments go this route and start doing dashboards and tracking this, you'll find that you spend a lot less time answering questions from everybody else about statuses on stuff, because everyone's going to know, or if you want people to know this kind of stuff, or even with your own department, everyone kind of can see, then you'll save some time that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, that this data becomes you know, available to everybody else to see too. So,
Is it worth it to have, you know, even another button in addition to just critical issues, but just like delays, so that, you know, if there is a project that has delays and you know you want to make a note as to why, you don't have to look through a whole, you know, narrative of everything that's going on with critical issues in this project that might not necessarily have to do with delays. What do you think about that?
Well, I think
so that like when you know, it's like, oh,
I totally get where you're going, Mary. I think the what I would say, maybe there's a way to do, and maybe Sean will, maybe you have to tell us if this is possible or if it's not, and whatever. But I mean, I like having all the critical issues in one place so that everything is, you know, is kind of kept in as a single narrative. But maybe there's another checkbox or something we could do, you know, it's a delay, you know, so maybe you can put a marker on if there's a you know, it's causing a delay, that we would, you know, mark it as a this critical issue is causing a delay, you know, you could, and that would then be able to be easily found or searched for or whatever.
Yep, I agree completely. Yeah, it's nice to have just a whole long list of all the different notes, and then you have identifiers, either another button or another field that you put down there, so you can filter for all the ones that are this type or that are just delays, or and keep them all in one list instead of separating them. I think asset management does that with let's see what some of the stuff that they do on theirs.
Can you drag emails into the critical issues?
So critical issues does not have any documents associated with that. You can add emails to the other document for anything that's a drag and drop. If you wanted, instead of saving a PDF, if you want it to be an email, you can do that. Critical issues does not have any documents with it. Not to say that we can't add that, but we can.
It's only text then, as you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So you're
Critical issues is only text and recording the date of when it was added and resolved. And so, for like example, Asset Manager does reportable events, and so they'll add a record when it started, and they'll add a certain type. So there's a range of different types, but there's another field other than just the description that helps them filter and sort for the different types that are out there. So we can do something similar to that with the critical issues.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Yes, we just have to decide what kind we want to group things when we have, change. We'll see. We'll have to figure out. We'll have to sit down and figure out what's important to track, how we would want to, if we want to have them broken out.
Yeah, sometimes it's just nicer to so you can group it instead of just letting anyone type anything. We take it through, and we can always add categories. Or if there's only one type, you just add one button to kind of toggle it on and off. There's lots of different things you can do.
Okay. Cool. All right. Anybody have any other thoughts? Any other ideas? Well, we've got Sean's ear.
I'm sure we'll come up with lots of things as we start using it, little suggestions, like how to prioritize things. But let's just try it and see how it works.
Yeah, if you guys could, like for the suggestions, like you said, keep a running list, and I'd like to have your group meet with it, even without me, just to kind of talk about, after a couple weeks or so, to figure out what works or the suggestions, and as a group decide what works. If anything's not working, reach out to me. I'll make sure to get that taken care of right away. But for the suggestions, I'd like to have you guys meet on that, and then us meet as again down the road.
On the Alta, I was just trying to switch over. I got logged off of VM. There's a naming protocol for the Altas also. Like if you click on that.
So for any of these drag and drops, we didn't put any naming protocol into it. So if you want to name the document, I would suggest naming it before you put it in the drag and drop. The reason why is because there could be one of many. It's hard to do a strict naming protocol for this.
Yeah, so really it's
It
just
just allows you to put anything you want.
So really it's just the first 5 boxes that have naming protocols.
Correct. And right now there's not a drag and drop with that, but we can build that down the road. So instead of having to save it in iManage and then marking it here, you can save it directly here, and it puts it in iManage if you want, with the naming protocol that you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We do that with audits and tax returns. When there's only one audit or there's one draft, one final, there's not a whole lot of different versions. We do that where they don't have to save it in iManage first. They put it in here, it names it for them, and puts it where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
Does the naming protocol have to be exact? Like, I understand at the beginning, the construction, the due diligence, the checklist, but sometimes you have a project name on it, sometimes you don't have a project name on it.
Right. So for these documents where we're not doing the drag and drop, and it's just the toggle between the, if it's received or missing, those have to be exact. For anything that's a drag and drop, remember it's not gonna change anything with the name. It's just gonna use the name that you have, and it's just gonna go with that. It'll still link it, but these where you're not using the drag and drop, it has to be named exactly. And say if you're missing a space or a dash, it'll always tell you what it needs, meaning when you click on it and doesn't work, it's copied to my clipboard. So it's easy to go back and fix the name without trying to look for every space and what you missed.
How do you access the clipboard?
Clipboard is, if how like if you do a shortcut Control-C and Control-V, and it's kind of universal against all your apps. So like if you went to Word and you highlighted something and you said right-click copy, it's now on your clipboard. You don't see it. It remembers what the last thing is. So by clicking this button, if I went to Excel or Word and I hit we can show right now. If I hit Control V or paste, it's going to type in the expected name because now it's on my clipboard, even though you don't really see it anywhere. If I just did a paste, it's sitting on the clipboard.
Yeah, so you can just go over and change the name of the document using your just pasting from your, if you're on ACS and then you need to change the name of the document, just go over to the document and on iManage and just change the property, just go to properties and change the name, and that'll do it.
Okay.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Again, anything's not working, please let me know. And then I guess we'll meet again sometime soon to go over all the improvements and new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Sean. This is great.
Thanks, Sean.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right. See ya. Okay.